Thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm David Beneman, CEO and co-founder of Liquidware. And I want to thank the E2E, all you experts, for being here in this room and allowing us to present for you today. Today we're going to talk about going hybrid. We're going to talk about unchaining from the desktop, the monolithic traditional desktop that sometimes has rigid and sometimes risky practices. Since they're so rigid, they become risky over time with all the churn. We're going to talk about using physical desktops, virtual desktops, DAS, using all of them together, your choice. We're going to talk about freeing the customer, freeing your clients to use the best of breed delivery mechanisms. We're going to talk about moving content to those delivery mechanisms that can suit the content, or that are cheaper, or that are faster, or that are better for the end customer. We're going to talk about eliminating complexity, replacing things like SMB if you'd like to, using things like object-based storage. It's much easier to scale that, much easier to replicate that. And then we're also going to not mention our product names the whole way through. We're going to let you think about what products you'd like to use to accomplish these goals. That's fine by me. And then nearing the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you a demonstration that's never been shown before. There's only one person that's in this audience that has seen this demonstration. The demonstration was cut by our CTO on the fly for one of our platform vendors. The platform vendor said, "Can you show us how you can use our solution with your products and make this happen?" And he did a video, it was 10 minutes, and he just did it sight unseen, kind of just cut it directly on his laptop and sent it over to them. And I voiced over it so that his words aren't there, but mine are. And you're going to see that demonstration using our products on that platform. So let's talk about going hybrid, freeing yourself from monolithic practices of the desktop. Think of your product of choice, and then we'll get into some of I'll plug us on our product near the end of the presentation. So there's a lot of value in the customer's PC today, a lot of value that's in the back end of the network, and a lot of value that the end user puts into their endpoint all the time. And that value is about the data that those people, those users are authoring and they're consuming. It's huge. It's a lot of investment. To operate and use that PC and to deliver the service to the third party, you need to have those resources for that end user available all the time, or else if they're not available, that end user can't get their job done. They can't service that third party at the teller line or at the clinic, and then that end user and that third party is having a really bad day, because these are so critical now. If this didn't work for me up here, I had to give this presentation without this screen. It wouldn't be very good for you guys either. It wouldn't be a good user experience for any of us. So this desktop and this migration that we have happening, this churn from desktop to desktop, from moving from desktop to desktop, from using a device to a device, it's all migration. And it's an ongoing thing. And it happens again because you're moving from device to device, or the operating system needs updates, the applications need updates. And I guess the question I would ask you is, why is it that all the time there's a migration, that it's the persona, the apps, the data, the policy that we think about afterwards? We pick a platform, we say we're going to go use this platform. And then we say, well, how am I going to get there? How are we going to get our customer over to that platform? And so again, it's an afterthought all the time. Should we just script it? Should we migrate it with USMT? Should we start over again with the persona and not take the USMT way and take the persona over? We'll start the persona over again. They can put all their custom dictionaries in and all their bookmarks, and we'll do that over again. We'll script copying the data, let's say. And when we do it over again, do we do it the same way, where we don't put the right solutions in place to allow that user to become portable, to give the visibility behind it so that they can easily move next time to another environment? Or do we just use the built-in solution, the platform vendor solution, and now we're kind of locked in that platform? The churn of hardware, the churn of the operating system, the churn of the applications happens all the time. The user experience is negatively affected. And we all know there has to be a better way, because this life cycle is something that we can manage. There's key resources in this life cycle that we start over with all the time. And we want to raise those key resources up and elevate those key resources and start to think about using things in a much more dynamic way instead of using the legacy practices or the traditional practices of yesterday. We can modernize the management, harvesting these key resources, leaving junk behind, but pulling forward some of those good practices, of course, into this next generation. And then using our platform of choice, we can scale, versus having to use the platform that we're stuck into because we chose to use something that was a checkbox solution. I'm not saying redo all your processes over again, because you obviously made choices, your customer made choices, and they baked their decisions on lots of meetings and lots of smart people. But there are better ways to do things than the monolithic ways that we've been doing, and we don't always need to stick with the way we were doing it. And we're saying harvest some of what's good, roll it forward into this new desktop transformation, and leave some of that junk behind. Use modern processes so many levels of administrators can be involved and participate, not just the sharp scripting or sharp VDI expert. When you come in, your customers pull you into their environment. They're looking for you to educate them and to teach them as well, and to let them be able to continue to manage this environment on their own. And that doesn't stop you from being employed there. What it does is it builds the trust with them, because there are others out there who are going to bring them automated solutions, and then they're going to ask, why didn't you bring it to them, right? So I believe we want to go in there and educate customers on how to do things. So this desktop transformation that we're talking about and rolling forward from these old practices to these new ways of doing things, it's not just migrating to a virtual desktop. That actually can go very bad if you don't go through a desktop transformation and you just try to pigeonhole or shove in these old practices that are more rigid and monolithic into the new desktop strategy. Migration, though, is a good time to implement solutions like ours or one of these other organizations. Again, pick your company. There's many companies out there that can help deliver portability and visibility, and those are some of the key things that help this transformation work right and continue to work over time. Migration is a good time to implement solutions like these. We need to educate our clients on the benefits of this user and application portability and visibility, and then we need to teach them how to harvest these resources and dynamically redeploy them in a modern way versus that traditional way that they have been using this technology, and that's the transformation. So we want to help transform this technology that these customers are using, these key resources that need to be available all the time. We want to help them transform them to tangible. So VDI, again, that's just another option after you do a desktop transformation. But what we want to do is help our customers elevate core resources like the persona, like the applications. You can't really touch the persona. It's spread out through registry, it's spread out through files. It's a little bit different on a Mac. You can just take an app and copy it over to another Mac and it usually works. That's not how that works on a Windows system, right? And that's where a lot of these businesses play. They play with Windows applications, Win32 applications. And those applications are tied through the system with registry and files today, and tomorrow MSIX hopes to help get it out of tying it through the whole registry and file system, but it's still going to be a long road till that is there, and you're dealing with legacy applications that are tied to the system. And same with Persona. It's tied to the system. There's solutions by even Microsoft themselves, but those solutions really aren't as portable and as flexible, and that's why others exist out there in the industry to serve the user persona and make that portable. So we can harvest that persona and make it tangible. So it is portable. You can back it up, you can optimize it, you can measure it, and you can manage its scale. So what we're saying is, out you go the monolithic desktop. We're elevating the parts of the desktop that matter the most. The persona, the applications, the data, the policy. Remember, persona is the user. Applications, that's used to author and consume data. The policy that you're using today that dictates the security and it dictates the experience. And if you don't have that set up right, your customers, you're leaving them open for failure. These are your most important resources on the computing platform. It's not the hardware, it's not the virtualization layer, it's the people, the data, the policy used to protect them, the visibility into that so you can optimize that experience. And what we're helping you do, and what we want you to educate your customer on, is that they can decouple those things from the desktop. And they can start to use this in a more dynamic way. That's the desktop transformation versus the monolithic way. And they can manage through churn at scale. So how do we do that? Well, with our messaging, with our people, we have a lot of people at Liquidware. I said I wasn't going to promote the companies much here, but I just did, right? And we have people there that have over 20 years of desktop experience, not a bunch of people with a year that you just add together. We have like our whole staff, from our engineers to our salespeople, believe it or not, and our executive team has a long time experience with virtual desktops. Way back to VM386, when we used to have DOS desktops, 32 of them per server, and you'd press Alt F1, Alt F2, Alt F3, Alt F4, and you'd have 4 different auto exec bats that would run, and you'd have Quattro Pro on one and WordPerfect on the other, and you'd have a fax software on another, and you'd have an accounting software on the 4th one. That was like one monitor, but you had 4 desktops on there. That was a way long time ago, and that was how I entered into server-based computing. That was just before I got involved with WinFrame. And so Liquidware has those kind of people here, and what we're trying to help you guys do, and instead of doing it, we used to do it manually in consulting, and we want to do it with software, so we can help up-level everyone in the industry. So you're not doing it to all you can do anymore, 80 hours a week. You're doing it now to 24/7, and everybody can do it. Many levels of admin can do it. So we want to up-level, and we want to help raise to first-class citizenship the most important parts again. The user persona, the application used to author and consume data, which the user consumes, and then also the policy behind that, which has to be, again, follow that user. We don't want to just set policies up on different organizational units and different folders and then forget to set that policy up on another organizational unit somehow, and now you've got a hole somewhere. We want to put that somewhere where it can follow the user and contextually apply, deliver an application if they're on-prem, maybe not if they're off-prem, to help keep that application secure and not available for their eyes only somewhere. All those things that we can do nowadays, which we couldn't do before. So we want to up-level the most important resources to a first-class citizenship so you can create a well-managed strategy and deliver the right user experience. Go to jail, go directly to jail, do not pass go. That's what happens, I think, when you use a built-in checkbox solution. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But who wants to be locked into an old device? Who wants to be locked into old software with an old way of doing things? We don't want to be locked into a platform. A customer's, who knows where they're going to be in 3 to 5 years. We want to be able to use better technology when it's available, lower cost solutions when they're available, more secure solutions when they're available, solutions that can deliver more content when they're available. So we believe we can give you a get out of jail card for free, a free get out of jail card. But by taking things like your persona and applications and policy and making them portable and making them apply across platform where you can deliver them in an optimized way, we're helping transform an organization from that monolithic method, from yesterday's monolithic style that is rigid and can get risky, because as things change, you need to be able to adopt and change with them, or else you're rigid, and then failure can happen. We want to change that to a centrally managed, portable, fluid, optimized experience, and that's why a lot of people went to VDI originally, but they didn't really get that centrally managed, portable, fluid, optimized experience. They had to buy a lot of third-party utilities to do that, to actually get that centralized management and that cost savings. They shifted workload to the server, basically, from the desktop, in the desktop still, but to the server, and that was now giving them some remote access and giving them some data, didn't leave the data center, but it didn't really give them that lower cost, optimized, fluid, portable management. The market is actually asking questions of us. How can they do this? And we'd be remiss to just let them go with a solution of flavor of the day without educating them on what they can really do with the most important resources, user app data policy. So what if you don't want to stay on Citrix? What if you don't want to stay on VMware? What if you want to use a little of both? What if you make acquisitions and you have a mix of technology in your organization? What if you have some legacy applications that are hosted on XenApp and you've got some lower cost solution that you put in with VMware? What if you want to move to DAS? What if you want to do VMW on AWS or on Azure? What if you want to go Citrix Cloud on GCP, GCS? What about when you want to switch DAS providers? When you want to move from MSFT to Google to some other third party that comes out? AWS, Amazon, Google, Azure, right? There's the big three at least right there. What if you want to go between those three? Are you going to re-provision all your applications all the time, repackage them into that flavor of the day, take the persona and get it in some kind of monolithic way that this provider delivers their persona? So what we're recommending is to go agnostic on those pieces, right? Because those are the pieces you want to be able to move around. Here's where I talk about liquidware. Liquidware is raising the bar on the data, the policy, the user persona, making them a first-class citizen so that you can harvest those resources and redeploy them across many delivery mechanisms at the same time. Some of the technical things that we're doing with the solution: we're making the profile portable, but we're also delivering like the profile disk. So you can have a fast experience, but then when you move between different operating systems, different versions of Windows 10 that profile disk might not work across, or version 10 of Windows in 2016, if the profile is written in 2016 and you just move it over to Windows 10, it's not going to work right. Profile disk is great. It helps keep things accelerated and fast, but it works on 2016, period. So if you want to share that profile with Windows 10, you use a profile portability, which copies just sections of that out and puts them on 2016, 2010, Windows 7, whatever the case, 2019. So Profile Unity, this is where I plug the products again. You can use your product of choice. Profile Unity will give you that profile portability and that profile disk at the same time. It'll give you a follow me VHD or VMDK, both. You can use VHD and VMDK at the same time. You can convert between the two, clone between the two. So those can follow you around. It'll give you admin rights management, which is actually the ability to take, actually what that means, it'll give you, it's called, I keep losing this one, the ability to set up different administrators that can do different things within the product, right? So you have some administrators that can deliver shortcuts, drives, or printers. They can only do that within the product. Some administrators can deliver applications. We'll only let them do that within the product, right? And with an auditing behind that. So if somebody makes a change, something went wrong on the customer's machines, they started getting a different application they didn't expect, you know who changed what, and you can roll that back. Profile Unity will allow you to save multiple archives of a profile. So you can roll back 4 or 5 different versions of a profile. If something went wrong and it was good 3 days ago, you can go back 3 days and grab that profile. And it can save on-prem profiles and save to the cloud at the same time. So that's some of the things that the Profile Unity product will do. There are other products out there that can make your profiles portable. And those are some of the main features that we deliver with our profile solution. We have a layering solution called FlexApp. It's an out-of-band application delivery. It means that you don't have to go, you can have many level administrators, not just the sharp ones anymore, put applications into your Citrix VDI or your VMware VDI or your DAS environment. You don't have to have somebody dealing with an image, they boot it up, they have to be a specialist because if they do something wrong in there, they're going to break a lot of other apps in there. Then you have to retro test all the apps like you have to anyway for acceptance testing. And you really have to schedule that process, and you have to make sure that that goes well, or else you've just affected all kinds of people with this bad image. There's an image sprawl situation when you use this technology nowadays. FlexApp is an out-of-band application delivery. Many levels of admin can take an application, they can package it up into its own layer, they can attach it to a XenApp, they can attach it to a VDI, they can attach it to a DAS, they can attach it to their PC. If it works for them on their PC, they can roll it out to an acceptance testing group on XenApp. If it works for them, they can roll it out to the whole XenApp farm and the whole VDI Horizon View farm if they want to. And that's just with checkboxes. If there was any problems in their acceptance testing on their box or on one of the VDIs or one of the XenApps, they can simply uncheck a box and that application is no longer delivered. It was never put in the image, it never tattooed the file system, it never tattooed the registry, and it was one layer per app so you could mix and match. There was no stacking of this or image stacking of that, which gets you right back into an image sprawl problem. That's available today. That's available from a third party. Maybe other third parties, but it's available in FlexApp, that's for sure. So you can do that today, out of band. And also because it's out of band, you're taking an IAPS problem that you might have on an image, and you're taking an app that may have a lot of IAPS needed, and you can pull it out of that image, put it into a FlexApp. Now you have less IAPS needed for that storage on that image because you've moved out that big app, and you can move that app to an SSD or something else that's higher performance and deliver that app super fast So it's out of band. It's not tied into this image. Flex app will do boot, login, and click to layer. So as the machine boots up, the app can be delivered before the user logs in. As the user's logging in, the app can be delivered in parallel to the login, doesn't hold the login off. We have our own UEM, Profile Unity above, so we know when an app's going in, and Profile Unity and Flex app can work together and deliver the things in the right order of operation. Or when the user is fully in the desktop and now they want to use an app, let's say Photoshop. I'll show you an example of that a little bit here. They double click that app and it connects it right then. So you didn't have to wait during the login for something to connect, but as soon as they needed the app, once in a blue moon, let's say, the app will connect in then. Click to layer also allows us to take a RDSH server that does not have an app installed to go into the Microsoft Management Console or Citrix Studio, point to that RDSH server, add the application. The application's not there though because it's a layer, so how do you do that? You point to our Flex app and then path to the XML file. That's the instructions on how to layer it. Application shows up in the web browser, you click it, we layer in the app at runtime, right immediately then. Click to layer allows you to do that. And we allow you to mix and match layers because we have something called micro isolation. So if you have an app that has a DLL and another app that has the same DLL, they're going in the same folder, we'll make sure that the right DLL gets routed back to the executable calling it, versus you having a problem with apps that don't work when you mix and match them. So again, some technologies, they have to recreate those back into an image and smoosh it all together. Other technologies have to use what we call an app stack and stack them together. So you have them all installed in the same layer, they see each other then. We don't work like that. One app, one layer. Any level admin that used to be a desktop support admin that no longer can install apps because it's now a specialized person to do it, that desktop admin can get back involved, package an application, get it into a layer, roll it out to their machine. If it works good for them, roll it out to an acceptance tester. If it works good for them, roll it out to a wider audience. And they've never tattooed anything, and there was no mixing and matching and figuring out if things worked with other apps or not, because micro isolation will take care of that. And we'll provide session isolation. So if two users are on an RDSH box, and one has permission to Photoshop, another one has permission to something else, the user who has permission to Photoshop will only see Photoshop. The other user cannot browse to program files and see Photoshop at all. It won't be there because of our filter driver. And the last thing that we can do is deliver visibility. Visibility of the user app, the networks, the hops, the login process. Detailed visibility when it comes to login. All the events that are fired during login, they don't even show up in Event Viewer. We look at those events that are happening. Oh, a new user's logging in. Oh good, I need to refresh themes. Oh, it's time to call user init. Oh, I'm going to call group policy. Here's the policy names. I got to talk to a domain controller. How long did it take to talk to that domain controller for? Those things are just real-time events that are fired. We listen for those events and we write those per millisecond in Stratosphere. So we don't give you just an idea, this is what it took and this was the policy name. We're giving you the exact policy names, the exact events that were fired, and how long things took for that. It's very detailed login. It requires a little bit of gray matter, but customers seem to like that still, so they can really see what's going on instead of just a pretty gauge or something in there. So those are the things we're offering with Liquidware Essentials, things that are user environment management, application layering, visibility for virtual, physical, or cloud. You're welcome, obviously, as consultants to recommend to your customer what you trust. But these things, I think, are key for you to raise these key elements up to first-class citizens so your customer can make the right choice, and then in 3 to 5 years when they're doing who knows what, they're able to support that versus starting over again. So a very mixed environment. You know, think of acquisitions that are happening. Think about the mix of technology that people inherit. When there's a lower cost solution that becomes available, they might want to move to that as well. How about when there's a new feature set, as I said, that supports more content delivery? Think of legacy applications that you have to support. So there is a very mixed environment out there at our customers. What we want to do is turn the desktop into a commodity so that your client can use any Windows delivery mechanism they want. And it doesn't matter if they're using multiples. We want to give that user the same experience wherever they log into. And the user doesn't always know they're logging into a different environment. They're not supposed to know. They're logging into their PC, but next thing you know, they double-click an application, and it's launching from an RDSH host. And then they double-click another application, and it's launching from a DAS environment, AppStream 2.0. And the user's not supposed to know where they're going. How do they know? When things don't look the same, when they don't have something that they're expecting to have. That's how they know. So we want to turn the desktop into a commodity so you can use any Windows delivery mechanism and the user has a persistent experience. Years ago we had an argument with some VMware folks and some other people in the industry, and it was called the Great Persistence Debate. You can Google it, the Great Desktop Persistence Debate. And we were basically saying at Liquidware, a non-persistent desktop is the way to go. And we had these guys, other guys saying, no, it's got to be a persistent desktop, and storage is so cheap now it doesn't matter. Persistent desktop's the way to go. And we said, no, non-persistent. You don't want these things to gain a personality all the time. You want them to be reset all the time to blank. You want to give them the persistence layer with things like Profile Unity, FlexApp, and the like, whoever else is out there, right? So we still believe that. Non-persistence is the way to go. We even have technology that soon will be making desktops that are persistent, non-persistent. So you'll be able to leverage the technology and we'll just keep rolling it back all the time for you. That's not available yet. Everything else I've talked about so far is available. With security issues rampant, I guarantee people will still be moving over to things like DAS. So if they don't have that in your customers' environments today, that's going to be coming. So a lot of different technologies, because the stuff that's on-prem isn't going to go away though either. That's why this started with Go Hybrid in the beginning of this presentation. You're going to have a mix and match of it all. So organizations are moving. Again, they're moving for many reasons. They're moving from physical to VDI. They're moving from VDI to DAS. Eventually, they're moving from DAS to DAS. I guarantee there's going to be, the cell phone providers, they're going to call you up. They call you up now, and they say, come on and switch over. I'll buy you out of your contract. Right? That happens, at least in the States, that happens all the time. They're willing to buy you out of your contract to have you come over and flip to them. And I don't doubt that's going to happen with DAS. But it's only going to happen with DAS if your customer can actually do it. If your customer gets the offer to move over, but it's so hard for them to do it, they're not going to do it. Let's make it easy for our clients to be able to do that. Let's make the desktop a commodity. Let's make it so that if they want to take advantage of better, they can. I've got 10 minutes left and I've got a 10-minute demo. I'm going to play it and I can cut it short. This demo has never been seen before outside of here. This, let's see if there's a spot for me to start it. This demo, again, recorded by our CTO for a platform vendor. I voice recorded over it. All right, so I'll explain what's happening here. So my CTO, Jason Maddox, was basically clicking on a drop-down and implementing a default profile for Profile Unity, which enables you to save to your on-prem or to which cloud of choice. And the cloud he picked was a Google Cloud platform. And so in this screen here, he's putting in Google Cloud credentials into this, I wish I could get it a little bigger for you, into this cloud bucket up there. Let's see. Do that, we'll cheat a little bit. These are Profile Unity rules where you have different rules for the registry and the file system, and they're saved to this GS // and then LW Profile Unity portability. So when you log out of your environment or at a saved interval, or when you open and close an app, however you configure it, you can configure it multiple ways, we'll take these file system and registries and we'll save them to object-based storage. So you don't have to save them to an SMB share. So you don't have to scale that share, you don't have to replicate that share, you don't have to worry about any of that. It just goes away. This goes directly to the cloud. You can go to Amazon S3, you can go to Azure Blob, all today. That's available now. Available third quarter of June, but it's internally now, third quarter of this year, but internally we have beta now. We are able to take applications and run them from the cloud too. So we're going to take that first application, Chrome and Google Drive, run them for all the users, no filter. We're going to run a hard-coded demo user 1 filter for the next 2 apps, VLC, Audacity, Notepad, and then the third app, which is Photoshop, and a couple others are going to go for demo user 2. Those are going to be hard-coded right now. You can run them to dynamic rules if you don't want to run them to hard-coded usernames. Of course, you would hardly ever do that. I think it's going to switch over here. I don't know what audio is filling this portion here. So this is the back end of the Google Cloud Platform, where you're able to see there's our Profile Unity license, there's a Profile Unity policy file up there, and there's the Flex app. So you could be on a laptop, out at your favorite coffee shop, there's plenty here to choose from, and you can get your policy delivered without connecting to AD. He's diving into the Photoshop folder. There's the Photoshop VHD, there's a Photoshop XML. there's a Photoshop icon. So if you're publishing at RDSH, you hit that's the icon you'd use. That's the the XML you'd point FlexApp to, because that's the executable you'd publish as FlexApp. So you publish FlexApp as the executable, path to that XML, and then that icon, and you'd have that app on a published session. This is the console where you package an application. It's really simple. I zoomed in a little far, so you'll miss some of it when you zoom out a little. That's good. You can select when you're packaging an app, you want it to the cloud, you want it to VHD, which cloud do you want it to. You can change your path there. If the path was different than the path that comes in their default. You can do an expandable disk, pick compression or not. So basically you're packaging an app right here to one of your cloud providers, or your local SMB, because we support it all. You can use SMB and you can use cloud at the same time. So this is the console again where you're packaging apps. Now you see that app Notepad++ right over here. There's another one beneath it. Well, the one that has the Notepad++, the first one has a little icon there. That's Liquidware's little droplet icon there. You can get that off of our bucket then. So any apps that when you open this console that have that little logo down there, we have that on our bucket. And you can clone that, like this example is, to your cloud. So you can clone that to your Azure, your GCP, or your AWS, or your SMB, on-prem. So you can take an app that we've already packaged and clone it over. It'll show up into your Flex app there, and then you can pass it out to any users based on group membership, time of day, IP address range, whatever filters you want. These are hard-coded to these two filters here. If you go over to filter management and edit those two filters, those are just, this is a Windows 10 781 filter. If it sees it's that, it's going to roll this app out. But you can choose many different ways to roll this app out, by IP address, by host name, TS client name, view client IP, MAC address. If a registry exists, if a registry value doesn't exist, that's a good way to do it. If not exists, a folder. If not exists, a registry value. Deploy this application. If I don't have Office 365 installed, I just did that one the other day. It's up on my Twitter and up on my LinkedIn and up on my YouTube. It was a no-brainer. I didn't even do it. I took an O365 package from my coworker and I ran it up on my environment right away. But you say, if O365 doesn't exist, layer the app. So right now you're seeing our CTO log into a GCP environment, Google Cloud Platform. There is no SMB storage out there for us. We are just logging into an RDSH box on Google Cloud Platform, and we're leveraging Google Cloud Storage. That's an object-based storage. Here's user 2. 2 users are going in. You saw that, those filters, demo user 1, demo user 2, hard-coded. They got a certain set of apps, and there was another rule that got all the apps delivered, any of the 3 apps that were on the top to any user who logged in. So right now what's happening is actually Profile Unity is pulling the profile from Google Cloud Storage. Okay, this first user's done, second user will be done in a second. It's pretty quick, it'll even get faster over time. This is our first release of it. We already know things that we could be doing in there, or not doing in there rather, to make it much faster, so it's going to be faster even on the next releases. So this is your desktop right now using demo user 1. I forget what he's going to go double click. I think it's Google Chrome. He double clicks first, which is an app not installed in the operating system here. He opens up Task Manager. There's a reason why. We're going to show you when the app is first connected on this terminal server, it's going to cache the app down locally and start caching blocks. The technology is available now, even in the current product, to work like this. You got to enable it. And we're just going to enable it default for you in the next version. So SMBs will be cached locally too. It's going to help in case your SMB connection breaks ever, right? So this app here goes in 9.1 megabits per second for just a moment, while Google blocks came down and they went locally onto this RDSH box. Now when you double click it the second time, there's only a small spike there. So you had a big spike, now you have a small spike because it's already down. The block's already cached. Okay, we're going to do that with a couple other apps. Notepad++, we double click it. It spiked up just for a second. I didn't even see the number, but here it is. And now, if he opens it again, it's going to be like nothing. Audacity, same thing. It spiked up to this like 10 megabits number here. And then when you double click it again, if he does it again, but it basically would spike up to nothing. But those apps are not installed on this terminal services box. They were literally installed right when he double clicked them. Here's a good one, Google Chrome. This one comes up right away this time. He didn't have the task manager. Here's Photoshop. This has not been installed on the box. Google Chrome was, so from the other user, and this user has permission to use it. The other user doesn't have permission for Photoshop. This user, Photoshop's already layered, by the way. Now it's just loading. So what happened is we took Photoshop off Google Cloud Storage and we cached those blocks down to this virtual machine. That's what happened during that time, and it loaded. It did not exist on this RDSH box. And no other users on this box can see it unless they have permission to see it. That's the session isolation. So this is all real stuff. This is live. If you looked at this demo, there's a time clock in the bottom right. And this time clock, not that time clock there, but the actual clock of the Windows session, you could time it. It's as long as the video. There was no cutting and pasting, sleight of hand, and he didn't even practice this. He just did it one time in his Camtasia. He talked over it so raw, and he sent it off to the platform vendor. And they said, wow, that's cool. And I took the video and I sent it to one person in this audience, I won't tell you who said, wow, that's cool. And you guys are the first person to have seen an application that's layered from Google Cloud Storage onto the Google Cloud Platform, or any cloud storage really, onto the cloud platform. No SMBs, nothing to set up and share and replicate, no complexities. Anybody can do it, any level of admin. You can empower your admin to work again and not fear breaking an image. No image sprawl, no complex image downloads and uploads, no stacks of any sort. It's real deal. And now this is Google Drive. We work with OneDrive as well. You can, with OneDrive, you can go to the cloud. You have to use our filter driver. A lot of people try it and they go, I tried it, didn't work for me. Well, you just use the out-of-the-box configuration where we don't put the filter driver in place, right? You have to use the filter driver. If you just, if you don't use that, then it doesn't work 100%, right? So we have in our next version, 6.8, coming out in August, I believe it is here, it'll just be enabled by default, so people don't have that trip up anymore that they didn't enable it. That's not a problem. So we can use Google Drive, Dropbox Enterprise, OneDrive. Those are great with this technology. So the transformation is in progress. We want to help these people, again, give them the information they need so that they can customize their client's experience, but also move to a better performing, lower cost platform when they're ready, not have them locked into the platform vendor, have to redo all their persona, redo all their applications, have visibility on this platform that's a certain kind of visibility, this platform a little more visibility, this platform a little less visibility. Now I'm on DAS and I've got no visibility. We want to give them the visibility across the platforms. I'm excited about something that we're adding in too. We have this great thing coming where you can see the network executable PID and its network IPs it goes to and its port and how much bytes were sent and the latency and the jitter. Brand new coming out in August in Stratosphere UX. I just did another product plug there, but you can use anything you want, but that's kind of important stuff to be able to see for the right user experience visibility. So the last thing I would say is that, again, we want to help transform legacy processes, harvesting what your client needs and wants, and simplifying management, speeding problem recovery. We want to help them operate at scale during the churn of software upgrades and endpoint swap-outs. We want to deliver to them the best user experience across these different platforms, as I was saying there, because there's a mix of them. The security as well. They log into these different platforms. You don't have to set up the security and all the right group policies everywhere. That's crazy, right? We do that, I know. We script it. Try to automate it, but it'd be better if the policy could follow the user, right? We want to be able to manage multiple delivery mechanisms because inevitably there's more than one. Treat them as a commodity without losing your key investments so they can move to cheaper, faster, better, more secure over time. Take advantage of a competitive DAS market because it's going to be getting even more competitive as these vendors try to take first place position. Eliminate image sprawl because that's a joke. Who wants to deal with image sprawl? They went to VDI, they went to terminal services, they went to RDSH stuff, and now they get this image problem that got created out of it. It's just crazy. Mix and match layers, one layer per app, easy. We want to enable many levels of admin to participate, not just the smart guys. I mean, I know we're all smart guys, you guys are smart guys, but we want to enable everybody to be at the same level of ability, not just the ones who can deal with a PowerShell script. And then we want to cut the red tape. Say stop scheduling downtime for the images. Stop scheduling all this GPO has to be modified. It can only be done next week. and start doing it, giving desktop that ability with the right role-based management. Role-based management, that's what I was thinking about earlier in Profile Unity. The right role-based management, the right rollback abilities, things like that. And then deliver some visibility to the desktop guys, because they don't have it. Only the network guys and the cool server guys get the visibility. They get the cool tools. The desktop guys are stuck without being able to see, and they have to deal with the problem, but they have nothing to see it with. And these platforms are varied, so we want to give them the same kind of visibility across. And lastly, run anywhere and manage anywhere. Amazon S3, Google GCS, Microsoft Blob, or on-prem SMBs that you got to scale and replicate, but that's okay. We can do that too. Still got to do that. And available now. That's been my tag lately. So if you're on Twitter, look for pound available now. These things are available now. You can get them from us. Try 25 user eval. You can all have 25 users. Morty will take care of you on that. And you can all try this on your own. That's the best way to actually see if it works out. And that's what I have for you today. Thanks a lot for your time.